الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. The first of our salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The second in honor of Ammar al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The third with your loudest voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wa al-Zaman. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Kumayl ibn Ziyad al Nakhai occupies a prominent position in Islamic history as being revered as one of the greatest companions of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. A man from whose life many lessons may be learnt and many fantastic examples may be derived, and a man who's seen as the embodiment of passion, bravery, sacrifice and dedication towards the cause of the religion of Islam. Tomorrow night is an example of a night where over 100 million people in the world remember a supplication which honors this man. For many of us on a Thursday night remember a supplication which is known as Dua Kumayl. However, while his name has been mentioned on the lips of many of the followers of Ahlul Bayt for many years, you find very few people who actually know much about the life of Kumayl ibn Ziyad. Indeed, if you were to ask many people to tell you the whole life story of Kumayl ibn Ziyad and the lessons which one can learn from his life, you find most people's knowledge is simply limited to the dua, as in most people only know about Dua Kumayl. However, this personality, Kumayl ibn Ziyad, is a personality of the highest reputation within the school of Ahlul Bayt, and indeed within the religion of Islam. A man who lived during the lives of the Holy Prophet, of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, of Imam al-Hasan, of Imam al-Husayn, of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, of Imam al-Baqir, and the first few years of the life of Imam al-Sadiq, salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhima. Allahumma salli. Because Kumayl ibn Ziyad died at the age of 84. He was killed by Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. And therefore Kumayl ibn Ziyad was a witness to some of the most important events in Islamic history. Kumayl ibn Ziyad is not just a person revered within the school of Ahlul Bayt. You find that he's a personality who's revered by the Sufis, who's revered by the Baha'is. Virtually every school in the religion of Islam reveres Kumayl ibn Ziyad. For if you're looking for spirituality, look no further than Kumayl ibn Ziyad. If you're looking for dedication towards the religion of Islam, look no further than Kumayl ibn Ziyad. And indeed, if you're looking for one of the greatest stands ever against oppression, look no further than Kumayl ibn Ziyad's stand when he was killed by Hajjaj bin Yusuf. Therefore, there's a need for us to dissect the life of this personality. For not only does he open the doors for us of early Islamic history, but also for us to understand how this man revealed to us many of the secrets of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. Because of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen's closest companions, the names that are normally mentioned are who? You normally hear Abu Dhar and Salman and Ammar and Miqdad, Khuzayma and Hudhayfa, Malik, Hujr bin Adi, and people like Amr bin Hamaq al-Khuza'i. Likewise, Kumayl ibn Ziyad is one of the closest of the companions of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. Let's dissect his biography by looking at his origin, looking at his stands alongside Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, asking the fundamental question, where was he at Karbala, and how is it that he lived for 21 years after Karbala? Let's dissect this and dissect his biography in complete depth. As you can see from his name, he is Kumayl ibn Ziyad al Nakhai. The Nakhai is, one would assume, if you were to ask where was Kumayl born, many people straight away assume that Kumayl was in Kufa, as in the majority of the life of Kumayl was in Kufa without a doubt. However, Banu Nakha are a tribe from Yemen. Kumayl ibn Ziyad is one of the companions who was originally a Yemeni. You see, Yemen has an illustrious history when it comes to the religion of Islam. There are few countries in the world which gave as many dedicated servants as Yemen towards the religion. People like Malik al-Ashtar were Yemenis. Uwais al-Qarani was a Yemeni. Kumayl ibn Ziyad was a Yemeni. All of them were living in Yemen while the Holy Prophet was living in Medina. You see, Kumayl, by my historical understanding, was born on the first year after Hijrah. And therefore, Rasulullah at the time was where? Rasulullah was in Medina. Someone asked the question, how did Islam reach the people of Yemen? As in, how did Kumayl from Banu Nakha, how did Kumayl and his tribe come towards the religion of Islam? Kumayl ibn Ziyad, what happened was, Rasulullah was spreading ambassadors to different parts of the world. Of course, when you are a messenger of God, you don't just want to limit your message to Medina or Mecca. You want to propagate your message far and wide. In order that people are able to learn from the message that you're giving, he would send this ambassador to this city, that ambassador to that city. Different ambassadors were sent to the cities. Why were they sent to these cities? To clear up misconceptions. Because you know, someone may have misconceptions about the Prophet, that the Prophet Muhammad is a man who's looking for power, he's a man of arrogance, a man of envy. You'd send a messenger to those cities so that not only is his reputation cleared, but also at the same time the religion of Islam is understood and not misunderstood. Rasulullah knew the people of Yemen were beautiful people, and without a doubt the people of Yemen were people of great repute. Imam al-Husayn, one of his options, if he didn't go to Karbala, was to go and live in Yemen. Because even his cousin tells him, one narration says his brother tells him, Aba Abdullah, the people of Yemen looked after your grandfather. Why don't you go and live with them? They are people of good reputation. You found Rasulullah had sent Khalid ibn al-Walid. Khalid ibn al-Walid, Rasulullah said to him, go to the people of Yemen and spread the religion of Islam to them. Khalid ibn al-Walid went towards these people, but the attitude of Khalid ibn al-Walid did not bring them towards the religion of Islam. You see, there are certain companions in Islamic history, when it comes to the sword, they are well known for using the sword. But never in your life will you ever hear one line of wisdom from them about the world and what happens in it. As in, I defy you to look at certain great so-called companions in Islamic history. I defy you to show me one line of wisdom from them. Yes, someone's going to tell you companion X spread Islam, companion Y was a great warrior. Then the next question I always ask is, give me a line of wisdom about this world from that companion. So what do you mean line of wisdom? He says, well, this is a great companion, he's a man of wisdom. Give me one line which I may learn from. That is what differentiates Ali ibn Abi Talib from any of the companions. Ali ibn Abi Talib, with his one line of wisdom, he can explain to you the whole meaning of this earth. There are certain people who may have been known by the sword, but you don't have one hadith of wisdom from them. I'm not saying from Rasulullah, from them, where they narrate by themselves about the philosophy of this world. You found that what happened was, Khalid went to the people of Yemen, Banu Nakha, Banu Hamadan, the Nakha'is and the Hamadanis. Later the Hamadanis would be great supporters of Al-Muhammad. But when Khalid came, they looked at his attitude, they said, we don't want this Islam. This is not the religion we want. Rasulullah heard about Khalid's performance there. Rasulullah said, remove yourself, do not worry. He then asked Amir al-Mu'mineen, he said, Ali, go to the people of Yemen. They are good people. Spread to them the religion of Islam. It's narrated that when Ali ibn Abi Talib went to the people of Yemen, as soon as he entered, they thought to themselves, not another Muslim ambassador, for goodness sake. The last man that came, we didn't understand a thing from him about Islam. Who is this man? Banu Nakha had a way. If they didn't want you to stay in town, they'd pelt stones at you. Which means, get out of our town and don't come back. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen got there. Kumayl narrates, as soon as he got to our area, what did we do? We saw that he was an ambassador of the religion of Islam. We started pelting stones at him. He said, those who were around him said to him, Ali, let's go. Let's leave these people. He said, no. Stay here. Let them keep pelting the stones. They kept on pelting and pelting until they noticed Ali ibn Abi Talib hasn't gone. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen looked at his companions. He made it clear to them that maybe they have been misinformed about what Islam is. Let's be patient with them. Because you know, if a person doesn't explain Islam properly, that person can destroy this religion. You know that? If a person doesn't explain. Sometimes you have certain people speaking in the name of Islam. They've caused more killings in this world than they've caused people coming towards Islam. They sit on steps higher than all of us. But sometimes what they talk about, you want to tell him, excuse me, get down quickly, I beg you. You're causing deaths, not happiness. You find that Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, what happened? Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, he came towards them. Kumayl says, he explained to us Islam. Within a few moments, all of us wanted to join the religion of the Prophet. Because the man explained the world with wisdom. The man explains the world with honor, with dignity. When we heard the Islam of Ali ibn Abi Talib, straight away we wanted to join that religion. Therefore, what do you find? You find Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen is the one who established Islam in Yemen. He is the one who was sent by Rasulullah to the people of Yemen. He established Islam over there. And that's why Kumayl says, I was only 11 years of age, 10 years of age, when the Holy Prophet passed away. And we used to stay there in Yemen. We used to hear about what was happening in the Islamic Empire. He says that until we realized that the center of the Islamic Empire was now Kufa. He says after we had lived in Yemen for a long time, myself and a few other Yemenis went to Kufa. That's why many of Imam Ali's greatest companions, not only they lived in Kufa, they were from Yemen. So Malik al-Ashtar went to Yemen, Uwais al-Qarani went to Yemen, went to Kufa, Uwais went to Kufa, they all went to live there. Kumayl is seen in many reports of history to have emerged first where? In the time of Uthman's caliphate. That Kumayl was with the other companions of Ali ibn Abi Talib. All of them were living where? All of them were living in Kufa. They were living in Kufa. Their Imam, irrespective of who the Khalifa was, their Imam remained Ali ibn Abi Talib. As an irrespective, you may have one Khalifa, second Khalifa, third Khalifa. Ali ibn Abi Talib is their Imam, irrespective of who the Khalifa was. But what they began to notice was that Uthman ibn Affan, as Khalifa, was choosing his family to be governors. The governor of Kufa, when they were in Kufa, when Kumayl was in Kufa, was a man by the name of Walid ibn Uqba. Walid ibn Uqba is Uthman ibn Affan's relative. Walid ibn Uqba, the Quran had already attacked his reputation 30 years before he had become governor of Kufa. Of course, it's a good thing on your CV to have the Quran attack you. You'd make a good governor, isn't it? You find that the Quran had attacked him in which verse? In Surah 49, verse number 6. In Surah 49, verse number 6, Allah speaks of the incident when this Walid ibn Uqba had become a Muslim. And Bani Mustalaq, a tribe, had become Muslims. Rasulullah, what did he do? Rasulullah, at that moment, he asked Walid ibn Uqba. He asked Walid ibn Uqba to go and collect taxes from Bani Mustalaq. Walid ibn Uqba originally used to hate Bani Mustalaq before he was a Muslim. And Bani Mustalaq used to hate Walid ibn Uqba. But now that they both become Muslims, you'd expect them to get on with each other, isn't it? To get closer to each other. Rasulullah told Walid ibn Uqba, he said, Walid, I want you to go to Bani Mustalaq, and I want you to collect the taxes from Bani Mustalaq. You found that Walid ibn Uqba walked towards Bani Mustalaq's tribe to go and collect the taxes. When he got there, he noticed that the whole tribe had come out of their houses. Now imagine, you two weren't friends before. When you've seen the whole tribe come out, if you have good thoughts, you'll think they've come out to welcome you. If you're a man who always thinks bad about people, you'd automatically assume they've come out to attack you, isn't it? So he turned around, he thought, you know what, these people have probably come out to attack me. They probably joined Islam like me. I've got no real intention to stay in this religion, but it's the status quo to join. You know what, they're probably going to come out to attack me. He returned back towards Medina. When he returned back, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I have news for you. He said, what is it? He said, the whole of Bani Mustalaq have become kafir again. He said, sorry? He said, all of them, they've all become kafir. Rasulullah is like, all of them done their shahada under me recently. What do you mean they've all become? He's like, no, I went to see them. They all came out to fight me. I can tell you they've all become kafir. As soon as he said this to Rasulullah, Allah revealed the verse in the Quran, Surah 49, verse 6. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. O you who believe, when an evil man comes to you with news, verify the news. Otherwise, you'll put the people in a state of ignorance and you'll regret what you've done. The worst thing you can ever see in any society is Chinese whispers, isn't it? As in, you may get in any community, when there's Chinese whispers, you may end up ruining the reputation of someone. Then later on, you regret ruining that person's reputation. But at the beginning, the Chinese whispers are what happens. The Quran said, when an evil man comes to you with news, verify that news. Rasulullah described him as a fasiq. He said, this man's an open sinner. Get this man out of the Islamic State. He was excommunicated from the Islamic State. Abu Bakr removed him. Umar didn't give him any position until Uthman ibn Affan made him his governor in Kufa. You see, what was the downfall of Uthman? Uthman's downfall was family members becoming governors. That's what people saw, the nepotism. Kumayl ibn Ziyad says Salat al-Fajr was taking place in Kufa. While Salat al-Fajr was taking place, this person was leading Salah. The person was leading Salah so drunk that he recited 4 ruk'ahs in Salat al-Fajr. Salat al-Fajr is how many ruk'ah? For you to reach 4, how drunk must you be? He reached 4 ruk'ahs of Salat al-Fajr, then he turned around. You know, it's normal in Salah to turn around. He turned around and he said that, people, do you want me to continue with the Salah? Shall we go on further? You found Kumayl ibn Ziyad, Malik al-Ashtar, amongst others, were a group of 10 of the companions of Ali. They stood up and they spoke out against this Walid ibn Uqba. This Walid ibn Uqba exiled them to Sham. He said, only one man can look after these, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan. When they got to Muawiyah, Muawiyah looked at Kumayl ibn Ziyad. He said to him, Kumayl? He said to him, yes. He said, how dare you speak out against the person in Kufa? How dare you disunite the religion of Allah? Muawiyah saying, how dare you disunite the religion of Allah? Kumayl looked at him and he said, it's that man who's disuniting. And Allah tells us to beware of corrupt rulers. At this moment, Muawiyah looked at him and he said, the Quran says, obey Allah, obey the Prophet, and obey the leaders from amongst you. I am from the leaders amongst you. He said to him, you're not my leader, nothing to do with my leader. My leader is someone else. I will never obey you, nor will I obey that man. Muawiyah said, very well, you've been exiled from Kufa. I'll exile you and Malik al-Ashtar, even not only from Kufa, from Sham. They exiled him where? To the land of Homs. You know, in Syria, you have Halab, you have Homs, you have all of these cities. They exiled Kumayl ibn Ziyad to where? To Homs. Until eventually Kumayl ibn Ziyad made his way back to where? He made his way back to Kufa and he sat with Malik al-Ashtar. He said, if these governors of Uthman are not going to listen, then we'll speak out against Uthman. Let's all go to Medina. 10 of them went to Medina. they spoke out vehemently against Uthman. As in, who was it that spoke out the most against Uthman? Kumayl ibn Ziyad, Malik al-Ashtar, Muhammad ibn Abi Hudayfa, Abd al-Rahman ibn Udais. These people spoke out the most against Uthman until eventually Uthman was deposed from his position. When he was deposed from his position, Kumayl ibn Ziyad says, when Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib became caliph, we thought that the people would honor Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. People would respect him. He says those 4.5 years with Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib were the most turbulent years we ever faced in our life as human beings. He said, I have never witnessed hatred like the hatred I witnessed against Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. He said, this man, when I was 10 years of age, he's the reason we, the people of Yemen, became Muslims. If it wasn't for him, none of us would have joined the religion of Islam. And now when he becomes Khalifa, from every angle, those who saw him give victory to Islam when he was younger, one by one they started coming out. And I tell you, Kumayl says the confusion that began to affect us, the Sahaba of Ali, was a confusion you would never want to see. Because every day there is an attack on our leader and there are wars against him. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, 4.5 years he was Khalifa, 3 civil wars against him. Name me one man in Islamic history, 3 civil wars in 4.5 years, from every angle. And Kumayl says, we finish Jamal, they attack him in Jamal. We finish Siffin, they attack him in Siffin. He said there were days when we'd sit with each other saying, why is it that so many have a hatred for this man? Those of you who study Rajal literature, go and study under Kaf in the Arabic alphabet. Study Kumayl ibn Ziyad. Do you know what they write? We do not take narrations from Kumayl ibn Ziyad because he had too much love for Ali ibn Abi Talib. As if love for Ali ibn Abi Talib is a crime in the religion of Islam. Where do you think this hatred came from? Kumayl even says, he goes, but the Imam would remain open with all of us. Any of us who approached him, he was remaining calm with us. He remained a wall of unity for us. He said, even I remember one day after the battle of Siffin. Listen to this narration. He says, I remember one day after the battle of Siffin, we were walking past the house in Kufa. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen was with me. I heard from the house the most beautiful Quran being recited. A man reciting Quran in the middle of the night. I looked at Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. I said to him, oh Imam, this man reciting Quran, the words he recites are so beautiful. He says, the Imam looked at me and he said, Kumayl, one day I'll remind you about this man. He says, in the battle of Nahrawan, when the Khawarij were fighting Ali ibn Abi Talib, when the battle finished, he says, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib came up to me. He looked at me and he said, Kumayl, do you see that man who's died over there from the Khawarij army? He said to him, Mawla, of course I see him. He said, do you remember that night me and you were walking past the house and you said to me, look how beautiful the Quran is from the man's house. I said to you, wait, there'll be a day. He said, that man lying there is that same man who was reciting the Quran. What's the point of him reciting the Quran when he doesn't know my position within the Quran? Isn't it? What's the point of reciting the whole Quran, memorizing with the most beautiful voice, if you can still come out and fight me in the battle of Nahrawan? Therefore, Kumayl, in all of these years, what do we find? He says that in those years were the most turbulent years for the companions of Ali. We lost Malik al-Ashtar, we lost Ammar ibn Yasir. One by one the companions of Ali ibn Abi Talib were dying. And he says that I was even myself in a state of confusion. They said to him, what do you mean? Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen made Kumayl the governor of Heat. Heat is 130 miles from Baghdad. It's on the banks of the Furat. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib had made him the governor of Heat. Kumayl was in Heat, and there was another companion of Imam Ali by the name of Ibn Rab'i. This Ibn Rab'i, the other companion of Imam Ali, was the governor in Kafar Qus. Kafar Qus was another area. This Ibn Rab'i is one of the last men to have struck Imam al-Husayn's neck on the 10th of Muharram. He used to be a governor for Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. See how the world is? He used to be a governor for Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. What Kumayl says was, I was the governor of Heat. This person was the governor of Kafar Qus. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan knew very well that if he can depose that governor, he'll make inroads towards Ali ibn Abi Talib. He said, I was in a state of confusion. Ali ibn Abi Talib had written to me saying, Kumayl, never ever remove yourself from your city. I have put people in their different cities and they should never go and leave themselves. He says, I was the governor of Heat. Muawiyah had attacked the governor of Kafarqus. He said, when I saw Muawiyah attack, I recognized that how can I leave the city under attack? Even though Ali ibn Abi Talib told me not to leave my city. He said, I was in utter confusion. I left my city alone. I went to defend who? I went to defend Ibn Rabi. When I went to defend him, what happened? He said, I received a letter from Ali ibn Abi Talib. And this letter is in Nahj al-Balagha. Letter 61 of Nahj al-Balagha. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib to Kumayl ibn Ziyad. All of you read it tonight. Do not neglect Nahj al-Balagha, brothers and sisters. Don't make it a vase which you sit in your house with dust on it. Open and read. See the wisdom of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib writes the letter to Kumayl in letter 61 of Nahj al-Balagha. Kumayl, what has happened to you? Are you in a state of confusion? Didn't I tell you to remain firm? You find Kumayl ibn Ziyad says, I didn't know what to do. We were facing an absolute barrage of pressure, of attack at that time. We're holding on to Amir al-Mu'mineen, but Muawiyah is launching attack after attack. And we do not know what our stand has to be. Therefore, Kumayl says that those early years with Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib in his Khilafah were the most difficult years to live as a Sahabi. To hold on to your faith was not easy. But he says, there are times when Ali ibn Abi Talib can see that you're going through difficulty. Those are the times when he takes you by the hand and reveals to you the secrets of this world. He says, there are nights which I spent with Ali ibn Abi Talib where he increased my yaqeen and my faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many of the great sayings we have from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib are given to us from Kumayl ibn Ziyad. For example, the famous line Kumayl ibn Ziyad narrates, Imam Ali told me, O Kumayl, knowledge is greater than wealth. Many of you have heard this great line. We always hear it from who? We hear it from Imam Ali, from Kumayl ibn Ziyad. You have to protect wealth while knowledge protects you. Isn't it? You have to protect wealth while knowledge protects you. Wealth, the more you use it, it decreases. Knowledge, the more you use it, it increases. Isn't it? Wealth, there is a day where it goes. Knowledge, there's a day where it remains a legacy forever in your life. That narration came from where? That narration came from Kumayl ibn Ziyad. Further than that, Kumayl ibn Ziyad narrates one day, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, he put his hand towards my heart and he said, O Kumayl, know that these hearts are the containers of knowledge and wisdom. And the best of them are the ones that can take the most. Therefore know, O Kumayl, that people are of three types. There are those people who are what? Who are knowledgeable in the philosophy of religion and the ethics of truth. Number two, there are those people who are seeking to acquire that. Number three, the third group of people are what Imam Ali called the hamaj. You know what the hamaj are? A fly that continuously surrounds the light. That is what is known as hamaj. Imam Amir al-Mu'minin said the third group are this hamaj. Absolute no man's land. You don't see them going out to gain knowledge. You don't see them going out to improve themselves. Truly, those words of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib apply to us. There's one group of us in this mosque today and around the Muslim world. We are well versed in the ethics of truth and the philosophy of religion. There's a second group of us who are saying we're not well versed, but we're trying to come and learn more about ethics and religion. Then there's a third group. The whole year they don't pick up books on Islam. The whole year they don't read at all. Do you know how many Muslims go a whole year without reading one book on Islam? Do you know how many Muslims? All the people, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, knowledge from the cradle to the grave. Yet you see many Muslims who haven't picked up a single book in their life. Some Muslims who haven't picked up one book the whole year. You find Kumayl, what does he say? Imam Ali said people are of three types. There are those people who are well versed in the ethics of truth and the philosophy of religion. Number two, those who are trying to acquire it. Number three, like the flies that surround the light. Absolute no use in this world. Absolutely no use whatsoever. Likewise, that Kumayl, what else does he narrate for us? We have supplications that have reached us from Kumayl ibn Ziyad, from Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen. One supplication which has reached us, Dua al-Sabah. You know the Dua al-Sabah, the morning Dua? That Dua al-Sabah which we have, one of the most beautiful supplications in the school of Ahlul Bayt, that supplication reached us through Kumayl ibn Ziyad from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Another Dua which reached us from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib through Kumayl is the famous Dua we recite tomorrow night called Dua Kumayl. Kumayl narrates, it was in the mosque in Basra. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib was giving us a talk. He said, all of you should recite the Dua of Khidr. Dua Kumayl is originally the Dua of Prophet Khidr alayhi salam. He said, all of you should recite this Dua, the Dua of Khidr. This Dua, recite it either on the 15th of Sha'ban or on a Thursday night or whenever you can. This Dua removes evils from your life, removes all forms of envy, and removes any suffering that will exist in your life. And truly, everybody, when they heard the Dua, you found that many of them, what did they do? Those who heard the Dua, many of them started to leave. They heard, they said it's beautiful, they went home. Kumayl says, I stayed behind. I said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, can you teach me the Dua? Because I don't just want to listen to a Dua, I want to make sure the Dua spreads in the life of people forever. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen looked at him like he said to him, the hearts are containers of knowledge and wisdom. He knew Kumayl ibn Ziyad, from all of the Sahaba, Kumayl ibn Ziyad is the one who can memorize this Dua of Khidr. Because of memorizing the Dua of Khidr, this Dua became known as Dua Kumayl. And you know, Dua Kumayl is a miracle in the life of the human being. It's one of those du'as, wherever you hear it in the world, if you hear it in the middle of the dua, you can continue it yourself. If you hear it at the end, you can continue it yourself. Anyone gives you any segment, you can continue. If I were to now give you a part of Dua Kumayl, you'll find people straight away are able to recite Dua Kumayl like they've memorized Surah Al-Fatiha in their life. It has a miracle to it. من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن بين أهلها ضجيج العاملين ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين. Straight away the people are in reply. People know the power of this dua. There's not a part in this dua which you can put in any mosque in the world on a Thursday night. You'll find people are able to recite it straight away. And some of those lines of those duas are devastating. Man li ghayruk, Ya Allah, who do I have other than you? Truly, who do we have other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? أقسم صادقا لأن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن بين أهلها ضجيج العاملين. I swear, even if you put me at the bottom of hell, I'd still call out your name, Ya Allah. Isn't it? You put me at the bottom of hell, Ya Allah, I still will call out your name. You find these lines in Dua Kumayl, Dua Sabah from Kumayl, Dua Kumayl from Kumayl. Then you find Kumayl ibn Ziyad saying to us quite beautifully, he says, you know, I received all this knowledge from Ali ibn Abi Talib. I'd see Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib giving me du'as, giving me sayings, until they had their most monumental discussion ever. This discussion is the most famous discussion between Ali ibn Abi Talib and Kumayl ibn Ziyad. And it's a discussion which philosophers continue to study until today. And until today, no philosopher has grasped the meaning. Hadith al-Haqiqah. The narration about the reality. He says, Ali ibn Abi Talib was riding his horse. I was behind him. And while he's riding his horse and I'm behind him, I called out to him, what's the truth? He said, sorry. He said, what's the truth? Who are you? And he looked at me and he said, what have you got to do with the truth? He said to him, when you come to the door of bounties, It is known that you never turn anyone away. To which Imam Ali looked at him and said, what sprinkles in you overflows in me. You want to know the truth, who I am? You want to know the truth. You think you're close to me and you think you want to know the truth? You think you know what the truth is as to who I am? He said, I'll tell you what the truth is. He said, the truth is the revelation of the splendor of the divine majesty without a sign. He said to him, I don't understand what you mean. Tell me more. He said, it's the defacement of the conjectured through the clearing of the known. He said, I don't understand, but continue telling me, what is the truth? He said, it's the rendering of the veils by the triumph of mystery. He said, tell me more. He said, it's the divine attraction, but through the apprehension of the known. He said, tell me more. He said, it's that light of the morning eternity that continues to radiate through the unity of the temples and their disunity. What's he saying? What's he saying? So you want to know who I am? You want to know who I am? Focus on each line. Kumayl says, I did not have a clue what he meant. You're asking who I am? You're asking me what's the truth? What's the truth? The truth is the revelation of the splendor of the divine bounties without a sign, and the conjectured defacement through the clearing of the known, and the rending veil by the triumph of the mystery, the divine attraction through the apprehension of the known, and the morning light of eternity that radiates through the unity of the temples. That's who I am. Will anyone know who Ali ibn Abi Talib is? Kumayl said, he just continued riding the horse and I continued riding behind him. You know what that is? That's Ali ibn Abi Talib clearly showing you will never ever in your life understand my relationship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I think many of you are saying subhanallah and you're wondering, what did I just say? And even myself, when I read that, I continue until today to ask, what is Ali ibn Abi Talib saying? Kumayl says, when I lost Ali ibn Abi Talib, I lost the secrets of Allah on earth. But then from the 40th year after Hijrah until 40 years later, we have no record of Kumayl ibn Ziyad in history. And that's why the most important question historians ask until today, why was Kumayl ibn Ziyad not at Karbala? 40 AH, Imam Ali dies. There is no Kumayl until after Karbala by 21 years. Where was Kumayl at Karbala? And I will go on the record to say, I have asked the highest scholars in the Muslim world, and none can answer this question. And I defy anyone to go out and find me the answer. I will reward them. But there is no answer as to where Kumayl was in 61 AH. No one knows. It's as if when Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib died, he exiled himself away. It's as if he knew the pressures on Imam al-Hasan were too much. And then at Karbala, it's as if he was in Kufa, but when Ibn Ziyad entered Kufa, he realized he had to leave. And that's why there is a Kumayl al-Hamadani who is mentioned in Kufa. And I'm of the opinion that the Kumayl al-Hamadani who Ibn Ziyad had in prison, who had helped Mukhtar get out of prison, that could be Kumayl ibn Ziyad al Nakhai. Because we said the Nakhais and the Hamadanis were both in Yemen, isn't it? So it could be a confusion on the surname. They could have said Kumayl al-Hamadani when it's meant to be Kumayl al-Nakhai. What do you find therefore? You find that Kumayl ibn Ziyad, all of these years, there is no mention of him whatsoever. Until when? Until Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi becomes governor. All these years, no mention of Kumayl. Then when Abdul Malik ibn Marwan becomes the leader of the Islamic State, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan decides to employ Hajjaj bin Yusuf as his governor. Kumayl had been silent for years. Many years, Kumayl had not said anything. When Hajjaj came in, Hajjaj's first public statement, what would he say? What do people do on Eid al-Adha? So they replied to him, Master, people sacrifice sheep on Eid al-Adha. He said, very well, from today sacrifice anyone called Ali, Hassan or Husayn. Statement number 2, Hajjaj bin Yusuf al-Thaqafi. I wish I was at Karbala, so I could have been the man who beheaded Husayn when he was on the ground. This Hajjaj bin Yusuf had caused absolute torment in the Islamic State. Kumayl ibn Ziyad had retired himself from all Muslim affairs until he heard Hajjaj bin Yusuf was now ruling as a governor. Kumayl at the time was around 82, 83 years of age. Hajjaj bin Yusuf had an army general called Abdurrahman ibn Ashraf. Abdurrahman bin Ashraf had gone out and fought in many parts of the Muslim world. Hajjaj looked at him and he wrote a letter to him. He said to him, continue in your fighting. Abdurrahman bin Ashraf wrote back to him. He said, my soldiers are tired now. They can't continue fighting. Please allow us a rest. Hajjaj wrote back to Abdurrahman ibn Ashraf by saying what? He wrote back to Abdurrahman ibn Ashraf by saying that very well, curse be on you and curse be on your soldiers. Abdurrahman bin Ashraf, when he heard this, he said, a man like you doesn't speak to me like this. He wanted then to fight Hajjaj bin Yusuf. When Abdul Malik ibn Marwan heard, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, what did he say? Abdul Malik said, okay, very well, I'll remove Hajjaj and I will ensure he doesn't remain in power. Abdurrahman ibn Ashraf, what did he say? Abdurrahman ibn Ashraf said, well, you're the one who instated Hajjaj, therefore we'll fight you. Abdul Malik quickly brought Hajjaj back. Abdurrahman bin Ashraf raised an army to fight Hajjaj. In that rising of the army, there were a group of men by the name of the Qurra. Qurra means those who recite or those who memorize. They were the memorizers of the Quran and the teachers of the Quran. They were part of that army which wanted to have another Karbala, meaning rising against another Umayyad puppet. Part of that army rising against another Umayyad puppet was an 83-year-old Kumayl ibn Ziyad. How old? 83. Part of that army was Sa'id ibn Jubair, one of the great companions of our fourth Imam. There are few great companions of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, but none as high as Sa'id ibn Jubair. Hajjaj managed to overpower Abdurrahman ibn Ashraf. He called Sa'id ibn Jubair. What's your name? He said, my name is Sa'id ibn Jubair. He said to him, no, from today I will call you Shaqi ibn Qusair. Sa'id means happy. So he called him Shaqi, means the worst, the angry. Ibn Qusair, Jubair, Qusair. Qusair means the one who's broken. Sa'id looked at Hajjaj. He said to him, that's the name my mother gave me, Hajjaj. He said, may you and your mother both burn in hell. He said to him, and who are you to tell me about hell and to tell me who'll burn in hell? He said, I have more wealth than you will ever imagine. I'll tell you if you go to hell or no. Sa'id looked at him and he said to him, well, at least I will be next to my master, Amir al-Mu'mineen in heaven, and I'm confident of that. And my master told me that I'll be killed in this way. Hajjaj looked at him and he said, may God curse your master as well. He laid down Sa'id bin Jubair on the ground. As he's laying him down, about to behead him, Sa'id bin Jubair says, wherever your face turns, it turns towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When he wanted to behead him, Sa'id looked at the ground again and he said, from this ground we created you, and it's in this ground that we're going to return you, and you're going to rise from here. Eventually Hajjaj executed him. When he executed him, Hajjaj made an announcement. Where's that lover of Abu Turab? They said to him, who? He said, Kumayl ibn Ziyad al Nakhai, the lover of Ali ibn Abi Talib, the man who was loyal to him. Where is he now? He has the audacity to rise against me? They looked towards him. They said to him, what do you want us to send the message? He said, go and tell the old man, his wife and his daughters are in my prison, and I enjoy having ladies in my prison. We don't need to go further than that. So tell him that I'll be waiting unless he wants his wife and his sisters and his daughters to be inflicted with more of my punishment. Kumayl ibn Ziyad at the time was an old man. He got his stick out. They said to him, Kumayl, these people want you. Why don't you just hide? He said, no, no more, no more. A man who insults my master is not a man I hide from. How dare he insult? And he says, where are the lovers of Abu Turab? I'm a lover of Abu Turab. Where is he? Eventually when Hajjaj caught him, he said to him, so you're Kumayl ibn Ziyad al Nakhai? He said to him, yes. He said, I heard stories about you. When you were younger, you spoke out against the great Khalifa Uthman? He said, yes, that's me. He said, and I heard you're the one who tried to speak out against Muawiyah? He said, yes. He said, I heard you're the one who loves Ali ibn Abi Talib, isn't it? You love Abu Turab? He said to him, yes, I love Abu Turab. He said, curse be on you and on Abu Turab. Then he looked at him and he said, dissociate from Abu Turab and I'll let you go. You know the reply he gave is one of the most beautiful replies in Islamic history, and a reply all of us have to keep in our head forever. He looked at him and he said, show me a way better than Abu Turab's way, I'll follow it. Isn't it? Show me a way better than Ali ibn Abi Talib. If there's a better way, I'll follow it. But there is no better way than the way of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He got Kumayl and he ended up beheading Kumayl for his love of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Today, where is Kumayl buried? In the land of Kufa, in the area of Hannana. Those of you who've been to Kufa, you go and visit the great beautiful grave of Kumayl ibn Ziyad al Nakhai. Without a doubt, a man whose legacy with his du'as remain with us until today. His legacy with his words of wisdom remain with us until today. His martyrdom in the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib remains with us until today. And that's why, without a doubt, he highlighted for us one thing. Is there a way better than the way of Ali ibn Abi Talib? There isn't. Therefore, any time in your life you need to sacrifice anything, sacrifice it so that the message of Ali ibn Abi Talib remains alive. And that message of Ali ibn Abi Talib was exactly the message they wanted to destroy on the 10th of Muharram. The message of Ali and the sons of Ali was what they sought to destroy. Imam al-Husayn, even when he came out on the 10th of Muharram, he said to them, why do you want to kill me? What have I done wrong to you? They replied to him by saying, revenge for your father and what your father did to us in the wars. All of the atrocities at Karbala were out of vengeance for Ali ibn Abi Talib. But did Ali ibn Abi Talib's grandsons look after his message on the 10th of Muharram? Without a doubt. How many grandsons did Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib have on the 10th of Muharram? A grandson from one side, Aoun, another Muhammad, another grandson, Ali Akbar, other grandsons, one after the other. And he was represented by his grandsons in the most valiant way. But which grandson was willing to give his life away like the grandson that is Qasim ibn al-Hasan? Imam al-Hasan, how many sons did he have on the 10th of Muharram that he gave away? He gave away 7 sons on the 10th of Muharram. 7 sons towards the cause of Imam al-Husayn. And you know, each of these sons, their stories are beautiful, I tell you. Each one of them gave their life away for the message of Aba Abdullah. You find, for example, of the grandsons who gave their life away, you find Abdullah, the son of Imam al-Hasan. You know this Abdullah, the son of Imam al-Hasan? It is absolutely beautiful, the narration about him. Imam al-Husayn was lying on the ground in Karbala, looking like a hedgehog. You've seen the hedgehog? The narrations say he looked like a hedgehog because of the number of arrows on his body. He was lying on the ground. He tries to stand up, but he can't. He falls back down. I don't know the pain of one arrow, but if I look like a hedgehog, it means there's nothing left. No space left on my body. My body is just all spikes. Imam al-Husayn tried to stand up, he fell back down. He tried to stand up, he fell back down. All that was left was he opened his shirt a little. Ammar ibn Sa'ad looked at Harmala bin Kahil. He said to him, Harmala? He said, yes. He said, what are you waiting for? Don't you see the whiteness of Husayn's chest? Shoot your arrow on the chest of Aba Abdullah. Aba Abdullah can hear all of this taking place. He's trying to rest. This could be Aba Abdullah's final moment. All of a sudden, from the tent, a young man runs out of the tent. And his auntie calls out, oh, Abdullah, come back, come back. Abdullah, son of Imam al-Hassan, young boy. Sayyida Zainab's telling him, come back, come back. He's like, how can I come back when my uncle is alone? How? How can I come back when my uncle is alone? You know, he ran towards the body of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. He sat by his uncle's body and they shot the arrow into him. When they shot the arrow at him, he turned to Imam al-Husayn. He said to him, uncle, are you proud of me? His auntie Zainab said, come back, come back. He said, auntie, how can I come back and I see Aba Abdullah alone? I tell you, that's Abdullah ibn al-Hassan. His story burns you. Nobody remembers that boy. Nobody remembers him. Try and never forget this boy. And that's why on the night of the 10th of Muharram, and on the day of the 10th of Muharram, when Imam al-Husayn calls out, هل من ناصر ينصرنا لبيك يا أبا عبد الله لبيك. Here I am, Aba Abdullah, here I am. You know that cry of هل من ناصر ينصرنا. Whenever you hear it, say لبيك يا أبا Abdullah, لبيك. Here I am. He called out لبيك. He called out هل من ناصر ينصرنا وهل من ذاب يذب عن حرم رسول الله وهل من مغيث يغيثنا. Listen to his lines. He says, is there anyone to help us? Is there anyone to defend the woman of Rasulullah? Is there anyone to come out and support us and give us victory? The line هل من ناصر ينصرنا, it made Qasim cry. Qasim loved his uncle. We all love. We have an uncle we all love. Qasim loved his uncle. But it hurt him to see Aba Abdullah standing alone with no one next to him. He came towards his uncle. The narrations mentioned to us, he came. He said to my uncle, you just said هل من ناصر ينصرنا. I said to him, yes. He said, I am here to help you, my uncle. Can I go out and defend you? He looked towards him and he said to him, no, Qasim, no. You are a young man. I want you to look after your mother, Qasim. Then he said the most beautiful line. He said to him, Qasim, you are an amana for me. He's the amana of Imam al-Hassan. To which Qasim replied with a beautiful line. Qasim said to him, but Aba Abdullah, you are a wasiyah for me. If I'm an amana, you're a wasiyah. If I'm a trust, then you are the will which I have to honor of my father. Have you seen a 13-year-old speak like this? 12, 13 years old. Imam al-Husayn looked towards him. He said to him, Qasim, go back to your mother. Do not worry. I don't want you. I'm proud of you. Do you know Aba Abdullah? It's as if when he's looking at Qasim, he remembers Imam al-Hassan. Like we all remember Imam al-Hassan. Like we all remember Jannat al-Baqi. Those of you who've seen that grave in Jannat al-Baqi of Imam al-Hasan, the grave that lies alone. People say, who is Gharib al-Ghuraba? Imam al-Hasan is Gharib al-Ghuraba. Imam al-Hasan is a stranger. Qasim went back towards his mother's tent. His mother looked towards him. She said to him, Qasim, why are you sad? What's wrong? He looked at her and he said to her, mother, my uncle doesn't want me to fight. She said to him, very well, take this small letter, O Qasim, go back to your uncle, Aba Abdullah. He returned back towards Imam al-Husayn. Imam al-Husayn looked at him and he said to him, Qasim, 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 you don't have to fight. He said to him, oh my uncle, have a look at this letter and read the letter. When Imam al-Husayn began to read the letter said, this is from your brother Imam al-Hasan. I will not be there on the day when you're a stranger alone in Karbala with no one to look after you and no one to defend you. But I want you to accept my sons as my representatives today. MashaAllah. Imam al-Husayn began to cry. He began to remember Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. Imam al-Husayn, do you know what he then done, brothers and sisters? He went into the tent, he took out a turban, he placed it on Qasim's head. He then gave him the sword, then he made him wear the armor. But the armor was heavy for him. He's only a young boy. Just before he was leaving, he said to him, Qasim, go to your auntie Zainab. Bid Zainab farewell, Qasim. When he went to his auntie Zainab, his auntie looked at him. The line she said hurts. She said to him, is this Qasim or is this my brother Hassan who's in front of me now? Imam al-Husayn knew that this would remind her of her brother Imam al-Hasan. Is this Qasim or is this my brother Imam al-Hasan in front of me now? She looked at him and she said to him, the poet states, she said to him, oh Qasim, your uncle Aba Abdullah used to love your father more than anyone. Oh Qasim, when my mother Fatima Zahra died, it was your father who looked after me when I was young. Me and Kulthum were only young and it was your father who used to protect us. Ya Allah. They bid him farewell. He came out in the middle of the battlefield. The narrations mention that he hugged his uncle one final time. He came out in the middle of the battlefield. He fought valiantly. They were amazed at this young man and the way that he was fighting. But then his feet got stuck within his shoe, fell down onto the ground. The sandal fell. He tried to come down from the horse, but the horse pulled him one way. It pulled him another. Umar bin Sa'ad said, go out and strike him. They came out from every angle. They struck him. He called out, Aghithni, help me, my uncle. Aba Abdullah, he ran out towards his nephew Qasim. He came by Qasim's body. When he came by Qasim's body, he saw pieces of the body around the body of Qasim. Imam al-Husayn, there were some lines which he recited. He said, it hurts your uncle that you call him, but he can't answer you, or that he answers you, but that he can't help you, or that he helps you, but his help is of no avail to you. Imam al-Husayn did something which he never did with any other companion. He began to take off his robe. Why? To collect the pieces of Qasim's body from Karbala. He took the pieces of the body. He now returned back towards the tent. Sukaina, one narration mentions Ruqayya came out because she could see Qasim was lying down. She doesn't know what's wrong. She said, Qasim, Qasim, is this the time to sleep? Qasim, wake up. Qasim, what's wrong with you? Sayyidah Zainab walked towards Imam al-Husayn. She said to him, Aba Abdullah, what is it? Tell me, what is that robe that you have? What have you carried? He said, I've carried the pieces of Qasim's body. Together, he went back into the tent, but you know, when he went back into the tent, the narration mentions that Layla had Ali al-Akbar's body and that Ramla had Qasim's body. Both of them wouldn't cry. Sayyidah Zainab came out. She said, Aba Abdullah, do you mind leaving? He said to her, why? She said, because they want to cry, but they don't want to cry in front of you, Aba Abdullah. I'm going to mention to you this final narration and I will end. On the night of the 11th of Muharram, their bodies were all lying on the ground. Qasim, Ali al-Akbar, Aoun. This is for the lovers of Aba Abdullah, this narration. On the night of the 11th of Muharram, all of these bodies were lying on the ground. Imam Zayn al-Abidin was in the tent with Bibi Zainab. Imam Zayn al-Abidin looked at, Sayyidah Zainab looked at Imam Zayn al-Abidin. She said to him, Oh Zayn al-Abidin, oh my nephew, I hear something breaking outside. I hear something breaking, I don't know what it is. Imam Zayn al-Abidin narrates, Umar ibn Sa'ad on that late afternoon, early evening, had looked around at his soldiers. He had looked at them and he said, Oh my soldiers, ride your horses and trample on the bodies of the companions of Husayn. However, Habib's tribe were present in Yazid's army. So Habib's tribe, who were with Yazid, they said, you've already killed Habib, we don't allow you to trample on his body. Muslim bin Awsaja, his tribe were in Yazid's army. They said, you've already killed our son, we don't allow you to trample on his body. Every companion had a tribe to protect his body. So Umar bin Sa'ad said, okay, get your horses, sharpen their hooves, and trample on the body of the family of Husayn. But wait. Qasim's mother's tribe, Banu Fazara, were in Yazid's army. So when Umar bin Sa'ad's soldiers wanted to trample on Qasim's body, his mother's tribe said, no, you've killed our son, we don't allow you. Then he said, trample on Ali al-Akbar's body. Ali al-Akbar's mother, of course related to the head of the army, they said, no, we don't allow you to trample on our son's body. You've killed him, but you can't trample. Trample on the body of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. But Abu Fadl al-Abbas's mother al-Banin is related to Shimr. So Shimr said, no, you don't trample on his body. He's from my tribe. We've already chopped his body. Umar bin Sa'ad asked the question, is there anybody that lies on the ground whose mother and father's tribe are not here to protect him? All of you know who? All of you know. And they said to him, only one body lies on the ground in Karbala, whose mother and father's tribe are not here to protect him. And they said to him, Husayn, son of Ali's mother and father's tribe are not here to protect him. MashaAllah. What do you think he then called out? He called out at this moment, oh horse riders, ride your horses, sharpen their hooves, and trample on the body of Abu Abdullah. They rode their horses on the body of Abu Abdullah while it lay on the ground. Oh Fatima, only one of your ribs was broken while they broke the ribs of Abu Abdullah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Husayn, ya Husayn, ya Husayn.